Hello, everyone. Last week we ended the month of April, our poetry month, because April is National Poetry Month. But I didn't get a chance to share something with you. When I do my poetry month, I have this book that I really love. It's called Any Me I Want to Be by Carla Cuskin. And I have it sitting at school, but I haven't been able to get into school to get it. So this last week, I have been racking my brain and thinking about the poems that I've shared with students throughout the years. And I was able to think of some of them, and I want to share them with you too because they're a very special kind of poem. It's a riddle poem. And today we're talking about riddles in books. And even though I don't have the book, I wrote down some of the poems that I could remember from this book because I've used it for many, many, many years. And I want to see how well you can guess a riddle. You have to use your imagination, but let's see what you can come up with. Some of her poems are very easy to guess. Some of them are a little bit more difficult. And what she is doing is she is using point of view, perspective, to think about what it would be like to be something else. The title of the book is Any Me I Want to Be. What if you weren't you? What if you were an ant? What if you were a turtle? What if you were an airplane? How would you feel? What would you do? What would your world be like? Now, this first one is a very easy one, and I don't quite have it right, but close enough, okay? And this is how it goes. I do not understand, arf, how people, bark, can walk around on just two legs, arf, bark. I see them in the park, bark, and they walk around without falling down, arf, growl, bark. And it goes on and on. Who's talking in that poem? Who says arf and growl and barks? A dog. What would it be like to be a dog? To look up at people and they're walking on two legs and you need four legs and they don't fall down. How can they do that? Using your imagination and perspective to think about some different things. This next one's a little bit harder. So pay attention to the clues in the words and see if you can guess who is talking in this poem. I'm up here and you're down there, and nothing that is in the space between us but a mile of air. Where I sail, clouds pass. Where you run, green grass. Where I float, birds sing. One thin thing there is that holds us close together. Who's talking in this poem? Think about it. I'm up here. You're down there. There's a mile of air in between us. Where I'm sailing up here, there are clouds. Where you're running down there, there's grass. Birds are singing up here where I am. One thin thing there is that holds us close together. Have you ever flown a kite? Have you ever gone to fly a kite and it's up in the sky and you're running on the grass and that one piece of kite string holds you close together? What would it be like to be a kite? To be up in the sky? Something interesting to think about. Okay, this one's kind of hard too. I look like you, exactly. Clean, combed, washed well, and dressed up nicely. But I am paper thin and under glass, showing you smiling, standing with your class, and you jump up and say, "That's me," which isn't altogether true. In fact, it's really me you see. Who's talking in this poem? Showing you, dressed up nicely, clean, combed, washed up, but it's paper thin and under glass. Showing you in your class, and you say, "That's me, that's me." And it says, "No, I'm not. You're you." What is talking? A picture of you under glass in a frame of your class, and you say, "That's me." And it says, "No, I'm not. I'm a picture." What would it be like to be a picture? How interesting. Okay. My home is a bright dome over me. It is very quiet. My home is a white dome under me. It is very quiet. I sleep in my domed home in the middle of a small sea. Me. I am very quiet. The dome cracks and I awake. A white dome over and under. It's very quiet. Sleeping inside until the dome cracks and you awake. What would it be like to be a baby bird in an egg? What would it be like to be in that egg? The dome over you and under you, very quiet. And then the dome cracks and you come sticking your head out into the world and are being born a baby bird from an egg. Isn't that interesting? Have you ever thought of what it would be like to be that? Now, sometimes in her poem, she tells you what she's talking about, like this one. It says, "I liked growing. That was nice. The sun was warm, the leaves were soft, and I was round and red. Then someone dropped me in a pot. Being a strawberry isn't all pleasing. This morning, they put me in ice cream. I'm freezing." What would it be like to be a strawberry and then get put in ice cream? What would it be like for somebody to eat you in ice cream? Oh my goodness. I don't want my imagination to go there. But she writes all different kinds of poems, and I can't remember all of them. These are just some that I could remember because they were my favorite ones, and I read them over and over through all the years to my different classes. She writes about a tree that looks like a tree. The poem is written to look like a tree. About ants, and you think you're passing a mountain, and it's just a stone. To think you're passing a lake, and it's just a dish with some water in it. Perspective. Thinking about how it would be to be something else. Any me I want to be. When you use your imagination, you can be anything. Anything you want to be. Something to think about. I'd like to see what you imagine you could be. That would be interesting. Okay, I have one more riddle book that I want to share you. Oh, you didn't see that, did you? Okay. Q is for, what is Q for? If you're doing the alphabet, A is for apple, B is for ball. What is Q for? Queen, quarter, quartz, quarterback, duck. Q is for duck. Oh my goodness. This is an alphabet riddle book, a guessing game. Taking each letter of the alphabet, but putting something very different than anybody would ordinarily think about. I want you to listen to these and see if you can guess why that letter stands for the different things that it does. Some are easier than others. And then be thinking, what could you do for the different letters of the alphabet? So A is for zoo. Why? because there are animals in the zoo. Okay, A is for zoo, but animal starts with the letter A. B is for dog. What do dogs do? They bark. C is for hen. Why? Hens cluck. D is for mole. What do moles do? They dig. E is for whale. This is a little harder. A whale, when you think about it, is enormous. That's the E. F is for birds. Why? Because they fly. Not necessarily in an airplane. That's silly. I like silly books. G is for horse. Horses do what? They gallop. H is for owl, because owls hoot. Hoo-hoo, hoo-hoo. I is for mosquito. Not because they're an insect, but because they make you itch. Oh my goodness, I do not like mosquitoes, and they love me. J is for kangaroo, because they jump. K is for mule, because it kicks. L is for frog. Have you ever played leapfrog? M is for cow. Two things could be. One, cows go moo, and that's also where we get our milk. N is for cat. They are very noble, and they also take a lot of naps, cat naps. O is for pig. They oink. P is for chick. Beep, beep, beep. Q is for duck, because they quack. R is for lion. They roar. S is for camel. They spit. Ugh. T is for elephant. They trumpet. U is for prairie dog. Where do they live? Underground. V is for chameleon. What special skill does a chameleon have? It can vanish. It's still here, but it changes colors. W is for snake, because they wiggle. X is for dinosaur. Here they kind of fudge a little, because dinosaurs are extinct. Extinct doesn't start with a letter X, but there are not many words that do. And extinct is EX. Close enough. And so dinosaurs are extinct. Y is for coyotes. They yowl. And Z is for animals. Where do they live? In the zoo. So A is for zoo, because animals live there. And Z is for animals, because they live in the zoo. So it starts and ends with the same thing. Okay, so this week, this is what I want you to do. I want you to try and make some riddles. It can be a poem like Carla Cuscus, doesn't have to be. Perspective, though, think about what it would be like to be something else. Any me I want to be. What would it be like to be something else? And it doesn't have to be a living thing either. What would it be like to be a photograph in a frame? What would it be like to be a kite? Or you can take the letters of the alphabet and don't do the boring. A is for apple, B is for ball. See what you can come up with where Q could be for duck. Something fun to do. All right, I'll see you next week.